Well, alrighty, y'all. It is about that time. Hello, everyone, and happy Monday. It's digital host AJ Wuest here, welcoming you back to Before the Four. Of course, the live stream where I go through some of 48's top news stories and then some before our 4 o'clock newscast. I say it each and every day wherever you're watching Before the Four this afternoon, whether it's our 48 Now live stream or on YouTube. Thank you so much for tuning in this afternoon to Before the Four. Greatly appreciate it. But first, let's start the week with talking about the weather. We're going to turn it over to 48 First Alert Chief Meteorologist Brad Travis for the latest. Brad?
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. We've got a mostly cloudy sky. We're going to see mostly cloudy skies again tomorrow. We finally see a little more sunshine by Wednesday and Thursday. Let's take a look at the radar. You can see some very spotty showers out there. Not even enough to wet in the roadways in some locations, but a little bit heavier as you get into southern Middle Tennessee and definitely into Middle Tennessee. And it's a little cooler there as it's reflected by 68 there in Winchester and Fayetteville. We're in the low 70s. Looking pretty good. Daily planner for your Tuesday. A little bit more wind, more of a breeze, we'll call it. No real significant wind gusts, though. Stays mild. Temperatures in the low 70s. Tomorrow's wind, again, not bad. We're seeing maybe a gust around 15 at times, but overall still looking pretty good. Here's your rain on the roof forecast. We're looking at our next chance really coming at us Saturday and Sunday. A spotty shower possible Thursday, Friday, but really kind of counting that out as it looks now. So here's your 10-day forecast. Don't forget, we spring forward this weekend. Lose that hour of sleep, but you gain that hour in the end of the day with more daylight coming. So again, we're going to warm up into the 80s. We're going to have to watch thunderstorm chances over the weekend. Some of those could be strong, especially if we remain in the 80s. We'll continue to keep you up to date. I'll have the latest forecast at 4, 5, 6, and then again tonight at 10.
And yep, daylight savings time starts back this weekend, like Brad just said. What do y'all prefer? Do you prefer standard time, daylight savings time? Me personally, I like it when it gets dark later. So I'm definitely a daylight savings time kind of guy. Exciting. It does suck that we lose that 1 hour of sleep, as opposed to in the fall when we of course, get to sleep in an extra hour, but I just love it being later, longer. A big fan of that. But also, don't forget to tune in to 48 First Alert Weather Extra. That's tonight at 9:30. Brad Travis, he'll be back here in the streaming center. He'll go through the radar, and of course, he'll have all the latest that you need to know weather-wise here across the Tennessee Valley. And again, you can watch that on the 48 Now live stream on our 48 News app or on YouTube. We are doing away with the Facebook live stream. So if you're watching Before the Four right now live, it will be wherever you are watching it. So you're just not going to want to miss it. 48 First Alert Weather Extra. But now let's jump into some of the day's top stories and some national news as the U.S. and Israel pounded Iran for the third day today, while Iran fired missiles at Israel. Now, 6 U.S. service members have now been killed in action during this operation. NBC's Richard Engel has the latest on the strikes. Let's take a look.
I am now in the Israeli town of Beit Shemesh, which is just outside of Jerusalem, and this residential area took a direct hit by an Iranian ballistic missile. At least 9 people were killed here, and you can see how much damage a single ballistic missile can do if there is a direct hit. Israel has been able to knock down almost all of the incoming Iranian fire with help from the United States. This is a joint U.S.-Israeli war. The Pentagon says that the U.S. has launched about 1,000 different strikes, hitting 1,000 different targets just since this war began. But now we're learning more about a friendly fire incident in Kuwait in which 3 American aircraft were shot down. There's images of these planes falling from the sky on fire. The Pentagon is saying that, yes, these 3 American planes were shot down accidentally by a Kuwaiti air defense system, that it happened during active combat operations against Iran, and that all of the crews were safe and survived. But Kuwait is also the location where at least 3 American soldiers died in a separate incident when an Iranian attack hit an American base. 5 other American service members were seriously wounded. Richard Engel, NBC News, Israel.
And as I said earlier, that death toll number is now at 6 U.S. service members. But now back home here in Madison County, where today the governor appointed a new chairman for the county commission. Ronald Rex Vaughn II, a graduate of Sparkman High School, was appointed by Governor Ivey to the role today. This appointment comes after Mac McCutcheon officially retired yesterday. So a new Madison County Commission chairman, now the face right here. So awesome stuff there. But now today in Lauderdale County, state troopers are investigating after shots were fired by deputies last week during a chase with authorities, causing the suspect to get out of the car and jump into a pond. Now the suspect did not resurface from that pond alive. Eventually his body was recovered and has now been sent for an autopsy. That suspect was identified as 38-year-old Ronald Craig of Lawrenceburg, Tennessee. Authorities were chasing him because he was believed to have been driving a stolen car. Now, nothing further has been made available to the public, but we'll be sure to keep you updated both on air and online as we learn more. But with that, we're going to head to break, but coming up, an update on the recovery of a tow truck driver who was in a life-altering crash a few months ago, and taking a look at the good side for your Monday afternoon. It's all ahead. We'll go through it all in 1 minute. All right, break time over. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Before the Four. Now, an update to a story regarding a tow truck driver getting into a life-changing wreck back in November. Now we're taking a look at that driver's recovery. Faith Delp with more.
God's been with me, because if it hadn't been for him, I wouldn't be here.
Moore was hit on Highway 20 in Hillsborough back in November. This is him in December, right after he got out of rehab. And this is him today. It's still difficult for him to talk about that November night.
I got struck by a car that was not paying attention.
All he remembers is towing a car and then suddenly flying in the air, and 2 strangers helping by calling 911. He told me if it weren't for them, he wouldn't be here today. Aaliyah said back in December that they have given 1,196 citations and 609 warnings last year under the Move Over law. Moore's boss says he's been told that enforcement has been stronger in recent months, but Moore says drivers need to pay attention and law enforcement needs to crack down even more.
If they would just start writing a lot of tickets on that right there, and because we all want to go to home to our families just like everybody else.
Moore says he doesn't know if the driver who hit him will face any charges. He says they did stay on the scene after the crash. For now, Moore's wife has been taking care of him and their 4 children. Moore says his support system is extremely strong, but every day is still a struggle. He told me he never wants another tow truck driver to experience this hardship.
I pray for every tow driver. I don't want them to go through what I had to.
And we are wishing him a continued speedy recovery. A very, very tragic situation out there, but I am glad he is doing so much better. Yep, wish him the best. But now, taking a look at the good side. After a health scare, a veteran in Las Vegas hit the trail. He quickly learned hiking didn't just help keep his body healthy, it healed his heart. The good side's Evan Leake shows us how he's helping veterans pair up with battle buddies to ease their mental health. Let's take a look.
With every step, Nathan French feels his problems disappear.
After I had a heart attack, I started walking a lot, and I realized that the walking was helping my mental health more than my physical health.
A realization putting Nathan on a path of purpose, starting the 22 walk 3 years ago.
So I started a 22-mile walk on Veteran Suicide Awareness Day, and we've only done one of those. Team Red, White, and Blue asked me to do a weekly hike, and I'm like, oh, I can do a monthly hike. And that started a few months ago, and here we are.
Call it a new mission for these military personnel. Warrior hikes with their new comrades to keep their minds clear.
We have 2 Army veterans that just met each other for the first time, and they're talking about, what units they were with and where they were at and, what they've seen, and that kind of builds that immediate camaraderie from someone that you've never met before in your life.
Ready to attack the hill.
The journey to the mountaintop eventually leads to these veterans opening up, sharing stories of the power of mental health and the toll it can take.
I had a friend that was in my squad commit suicide in front of us, and so something's got to be done. Veteran suicide is completely unnecessary, and if we can get out here and do stuff like this, and then I think we're actually being part of the solution, not the problem.
Maybe after the hike they'll pull me aside and they'll say thank you, like I needed that. I didn't even know I needed it. I didn't even know what this hike was all about, but now that I did it, I feel so much better.
Helping veterans reach new heights to get a better view of the valley and their lives. Evan Leake, Fox 5 News, local Las Vegas.
Gotta love the good side. Awesome story there. And now let's go into the stories you're just not gonna want to miss coming up in our evening newscasts. A former FBI agent weighing in on the strikes in the Middle East. Callie Neese will have what he has to say coming up. Details on a police chase in Jackson County over the weekend. Will Eldridge will have those details coming up. And finally, Muscle Shoals school leaders trying to get ahead of the game when it comes to growth in the districts. Aria Pons will have everything they're doing out there, and these are just a few of the stories you're just not going to want to miss coming up in our evening newscast. And it is that time, y'all. It is time for our segment of Facebook fun. That's how we like to end before the 4 each and every day. And our Facebook question today, we asked it about an hour ago, and that was, of course, if you could get rid of one season only, which would it be? Me personally, I like the winter. I like the winter during Christmas season and during that week between Christmas and New Year's. But really, that's the only time I like the winter. I think I would like to keep winter, but after New Year's Day, that's when spring can come around. But I would say that is probably my least favorite month, or not even month. My least favorite season out of the year would be the winter. But what I want to know is what you all had to say. And I have my handy dandy cell phone right here. I have the Facebook post pulled up. We're having some issues getting your comments on the screen, so I'm just going to read them off of my trusty cellular device right here. And it looks like to that question, get rid of one season only, which would it be? Benjamin Knight said he would get rid of tax season. And seeing that there's 61 likes to that comment and 3 replies, one of them, I just spit tea everywhere, but I must agree with you. Yep, tax season, a very stressful time of the year for many people. I think I would agree with you there, Benjamin. Thank you so much. Looks like Brent Waldrop said duck season, no rabbit season. Okay, he is not a fan of duck season. Looks like Kevin said the last season of Game of Thrones, not a very popular season there. I have never seen Game of Thrones, but I've heard a lot about that final episode of quite disappointing episode, as some of you said. All right, so the last season of Game of Thrones. Paul Jackson said probably season 7 of Supernatural. Again, I have not seen Supernatural either, but it seems like quite a few of you agree with that comment there. Let's see. We have a couple more. Kelly doesn't like the winter. She said she would get rid of the winter. And Dixie Davis agrees with Kelly on that. She said the dead of winter. Is the dead of winter January, February? Because I agree with that. The dead of winter. I like Christmas winter, not the dead of winter. Dixie, I think I agree with you there. And whoa, we have a summer comment. Ashley Price, she said summer. I prefer spring warm over summer hot. That is a hot take right there, Ashley. I don't think I would get rid of the summer. I personally love the summer. Really, the hotter, the better, in my opinion, because you can always jump in a pool and cool off. But I feel you there, Ashley, 100%. Oh no, we have someone who wants to get rid of football season. I do not agree with that, but to each their own. That is probably my favorite season, would be football season. But y'all, as always, you have super awesome comments to our 48 Facebook question. It always makes my day seeing y'all's comments, seeing everything you have to say to our question of the day. But y'all, that is just about all the time I have for today's Before the Four. Thank you all for tuning in, spending a bit of your Monday afternoon and starting the week here on Before the Four. I hope you all have a great night tonight. Enjoy our evening newscasts. And as always, thank you so much for watching. You all have a great night.